Are we live? Hey everybody, we're live streaming again after a few months actually, and so nice to be here again talking to you. We have prepared kind of a special live today, so as you can see, we have a little bit of a different backdrop here, and you will see during the live a few different elements on this stream. So just to let you know in the beginning of this live that we will have again a Q&A. So then I'm inviting you to go ahead and leave your comments down below. So then let me know your questions, comments, as you already saw by the title of the live itself. Let's talk Apple. So that's what I do every single day, and that's what I'm inviting you to do with me today. So live, talk about Apple, discuss your questions. If you have any doubts, problems, curiosities about the Apple universe, I'm here to talk to you, all right? Let's do this for around 30 minutes, 40 minutes, maybe even more, maybe an hour. Let's see how it goes. So hello everyone, people are already starting to connect and join us here on this live. So nice to see you, Jeremy, Nuz, and everybody else. Please also let me know about the quality. As I said, we're testing out a few things here today. So then we're using software, we're streaming with professional cameras, and we're trying to get the best quality on video and audio as well today. So maybe not 100% still, but trying to get better, all right? So please let me know if everything is coming through nice to you, okay? So my idea here is to actually start talking about one product that is not actually new, is actually particularly old, which is this guy right here, which is the iPad mini. So this is the iPad mini 6, that's the 6th generation, and even though it has a new design, brand new design, if you look at it, it has squared off edges, USB-C and all that, but this iPad was actually released 3 years ago in 2021. So I actually got this iPad with the idea, of course, of creating content because maybe this may be actually the best iPad when we're talking about format, form factor, and what you actually do with it. So my idea to actually start this live is to talk about this iPad mini, which I just got like yesterday, even though it's a 3-year-old product. But I want to talk about it a little bit and, of course, show you an unboxing. So we have prepared a quick unboxing, and we're going to stream this unboxing with you simultaneously, and then I'm going to kind of react to it, and then we're going to play the unboxing, and I'm going to go through with you talking about this quick unbox experience, and then kick off, of course, this this live stream, right? So let's go ahead and play the stream. When the stream is live, please let me know because we have a little delay right here. So when we're gonna have the unboxing right here on my left hand side. So when it's actually on, I'm gonna go ahead and present to you. All right. Let's hope it actually syncs up well, because there's a little bit of a delay, as I said. So probably when you're seeing it is when I'm seeing it right here as well. All right. So let's wait a few seconds until is actually on the screen. Okay. So yeah, the whole it's on mine now, so I believe you're seeing it as well. So as I said, iPad mini, it's a 8.6-inch display, so it's a very small tablet, a very small form factor, and it sits very like between an iPhone and a proper tablet, if you will, right? So the whole point of getting this device was maybe to have a more comfortable experience, especially when, like, for example, laying in bed or using it one-handed, right? Because you can actually use an iPad mini with just one hand. So the whole point of getting this device was actually see if it makes sense and of course create a ton of content for you guys, and you're seeing it here in firsthand, even though you have definitely seen it before, right? It's not a brand new device, but as you're seeing right there, pretty straightforward unboxing experience, right? Like, open the lid, we got the iPad right there, we've got here the booklet with a little bit of information, right? We have just like basic tips. Of course, we have Touch ID on this iPad. It is kind of crazy to buy an Apple product today that looks very new and you have Touch ID, right? Not Face ID, but many people actually love Face ID. You, of course, have stickers, so Apple includes them. And maybe one of the good surprises, even though it's not a surprise, is the fact that Apple still includes the power brick in some accessories. So we're so used to opening up iPhones, right? Unboxing iPhones all the time. And as you can see on an iPad mini, even though it's not an iPhone, but getting a power brick is so, so good. Just because, of course, you can use it with any other device. And of course, it's USB-C. Then I can use on my iPhone 15 Pro Max, I can use on my other Macs, and so on. So then, it's your typical simple unboxing experience, but I just wanted to give you, just to kick off this live stream talking about this, all right? So, let's actually go ahead and start answering some questions. So, I've got here some questions prepared, all right, set up here on my iPad mini. I'm going to be using this device throughout this whole live stream to do absolutely everything on the live and not my iPhone. And then I'm going to answer a few questions, and those questions actually came straight from Instagram. So I got them on @DanielBaltac on Instagram. And I don't know if you know this, but now Daniel Baltac is actually international. The Instagram account is actually international. So if you like the content I create here on YouTube, my videos and all that, you can actually go ahead and follow me on Instagram @DanielBaltac. You also saw it on the screen. And right there, I show you absolutely my day-to-day life. So I show you what's like to be a content creator full-time. And of course, I create a ton of content as well, answer your questions, interact with you quite a lot. And as I said now, Daniel Baltac on Instagram, which used to be a Brazilian account. I just spoke in Portuguese and all that. Now it's international. So if you follow me on @Daniel Baltac on Instagram, you will actually follow everything, understand everything. It's fully international with subtitles, with like, you'll see. Go ahead and take a look. So I asked my followers there and to go ahead and ask some questions because of this live stream. And then I have quite a lot of them, most of them from Brazilians because it's still the majority of my followers, but I got a lot of questions there. So I'm going to start answering a few here. And of course, as you leave your comments right now, your questions right now, I will answer them as well. So if you have any kind of questions, I will answer them live, all right? So let's start off with one question from Julio. Yeah, Julio 260. Yeah. So he's talking about iOS 18. And like, of course, you have definitely seen a lot on this, on iOS 18. And it's probably the first time that an iOS version gets more attention than an iPhone release, if you ask me. Because we're not seeing quite a lot, quite nothing actually about the iPhone 16, the iPhone 16 series, which is coming up in a few months. And there are just a few rumors here and there, nothing really special. But the iOS 18, it's getting a lot of attention. So we're getting mainly because of AI. So you have probably seen it as well. So the whole theme of iOS 18 is actually the fact that we're going to get a lot of AI features out of it. And I've seen so many misinformation on this. So a lot of people are saying that this will only come to the iPhone 16, or AI will actually completely change iOS or something. But that's not how it's going to work. We all know Apple. We've been following Apple for decades now, and they don't do something so dramatic like that over a year. So we're not going to see anything like iOS is going to completely change. No, we're just going to get a few more features based on AI, just like you saw on Samsung right now. So some features on photos, on on the camera, and then maybe on productivity, on and how to manage your data and things like that. And it's very important to understand how Apple is actually going to implement this, because we have some people saying that they're going to do it on their own. So they're going to have an internal team, inside team, and actually work on AI. And they're going to have, for example, like the Siri team, right? And we're going to have AI created by Apple, made by Apple, and something like that. And other people saying that no, it's going to come from Google. It's actually going to be powered by Gemini. And it goes backwards and forwards, and we don't know, and probably we won't know until June. Please keep in mind that iOS 18 is coming in 2 months. So it's so close. It's just around the corner. And then we're going to see all of those changes, maybe not so many as some people expect right now, in just a couple months. All right. So what I have to say is don't overhype this. All right. It's going to be good. It's going to be great, but it's not going to change iOS forever. And we have to actually see how Google will play, what kind of role will Google play on this whole thing, or this whole software update. Okay, so this is important as well. And regarding the iPhone 16, that people are saying that the iPhone 16 is actually going to get AI features. That's not how it's going to work. It's an iOS update. So other iPhone models will benefit from it as well. Definitely, the iPhone 16 will get more features, of course, because it's going to have a more powerful chip, and we know how Apple deals with those things. But the iPhone 15, 14, and so on will also get new features as well, right? Let me go ahead here and take a look at your comments, because I was actually having a look here at my previous questions, right? So let's see. So, Nahom is saying, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, sorry about that. So, today I bought an iPhone 7 Plus, 128 gigs with 93% battery capacity at $130. Is that good? I mean, if you're worried about the battery itself, that's pretty good. Because, like, 93% is a new battery. You know, we tend to say that a battery is starting to get old, starting to degrade when it gets closer to 80%. So it's at 93, it's pretty good. But what I would recommend you to see is if that's the actual battery percent maximum capacity, or if it was manipulated. Because the iPhone 7 Plus was released like quite a few years ago, around 8 years ago. So then if it was bought back then, and then activated back then and used back then, right, for those years, and then after 8 years, I don't really think it's gonna retain 93% of its capacity. So maybe that number was manipulated. We gotta think about that, okay, because it happens. But if it is actually 93%, so if the person who bought it first, like, didn't use it a lot, it's pretty good at $130, right? So yeah, keep it coming. All right, keep it coming. Keep sending comments. I'm here to talk to you. All right, let's come back and let's answer to a few of those pre-loaded questions from Instagram. So let's take a look. It's quite a few, so bear with me, please. So this is a this is a very common question. Like, should I upgrade my iPhone 15 Pro Max for an iPhone 15 Pro Max? So 14 to 15, like one generation. And the answer is very clear. Like, I pretty much never recommend you to upgrade an iPhone from one generation to the other. So regardless if it is like an iPhone 14 to 15 or 13 to 14 and so on. So if you're actually just upgrading like one generation, unless you really need to, or unless you are like I love Apple and I'm an enthusiast, and then I always want to get the best. Okay, but if you think about money and if you think about what you're getting out of it, like cost benefit, it's never worth it upgrading every single year, because after 1 year is when your iPhone will depreciate the most, just like your car, for example. So then you lose most money on the very first year, and then you're just gonna get a new one, spending quite a lot, and then you're not gonna get much because iPhones don't evolve that much year after year. They used to back then, like the iPhone 4 to 5, 5 to 6. We used to get new generations every 2 years, but now it doesn't work anymore like that. All right. So that's my general recommendation. Uh, we have new comments here on the live stream. So which iPhones will be supported to run the new iOS? Uh, we don't know. We don't know, but we expect that Apple will drop support to the iPhones, the older iPhones. So Apple will probably drop support to the iPhone 10R, 10s, and 10s Max. There is a chance they'll keep those iPhones updated, but I really don't think so. So I believe the iOS 18, right, will only support iPhones from the iPhone 11 and up. So 10R, 10s, and 10s Max will not be compatible anymore. There is even a chance that Apple can go really radical and cut support and kill the support to the iPhone's 11 series as well. But I don't think that's happening either. So if you have an iPhone 11 series, I think you're fine. But 10R, 10s, I believe that's it. I believe that's it. I believe we're not going to see support. All right. And that's a very important thing as well. Many people are concerned about getting support to older iPhones. Like, as I said, for example, if you have an iPhone 10R or if you have an iPhone 11 and you're concerned that iOS 18 will not actually support your device, I wouldn't be that worried about this, because even if iOS 18 supports the iPhone 10R, 10s, and 11, most of the new features, or pretty much all the new features, won't be coming to those devices. That's always how Apple deals with this. They always do this. So they get to a new generation like iOS 17, iOS 16, but the older iPhone models, the older ones that actually are compatible with it, they just don't get those features. So there's no point worrying too much about this. And please keep in mind that you can still use an old iOS version and still get the software updates and the security and bug fixes, no problem at all. As you probably know, Apple still supports iOS 16 to this day and still updates for security, right? Moving on, let's take a look at the live chat. Let's see what we've got here on the live chat. So we have more questions. So it's charging very slow after 75%. Is it because I'm using a Samsung charging box? No. Maybe. So the brand of the brick, of the box, the power brick you're using, it doesn't play any important role on this. So you need to see actually the power outage of this power brick. So is it 5 watts? Is it 10 watts? Is it 20 watts or 30? So an iPhone 7 Plus, I believe you said you had, it doesn't accept a very high power outages. So it's probably gonna charge at 15 watts or 10 to 15 watts. So even if you have a more powerful power brick than that, you won't see much difference. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. But if, for example, you're charging with a 5-watt Samsung charger, then definitely it's slow because of the charger. So again, not because of the brand, but maybe because it's just a slow charger. Okay, so keep that in mind. So that's one thing. The other thing, and this may have to do with the beginning of your question that I answered before, which is it's taking too long after 75%. And that's maybe because the battery isn't authentic anymore. Because, as I said, an iPhone 7 Plus is a slightly older iPhone model, and 93%, as you said before, so the battery was probably replaced. And when people replace batteries, they generally don't replace with authentic ones. So then there's a high chance that your battery isn't authentic, and that's because you have this discrepancy in this charging speed. Okay, it may be because of this. But again, maybe it's original, maybe your charger is okay, and it's just the fact that, in fact, charging past 80% will actually slow down the speed. So it's normal that the speed will actually slow down when you are charging your iPhone past 75, 80%. Okay? Let's move on and let's take a look here if we have some new questions. Let's take a look. 1 second, guys. Just getting ready and opening up. So let's go ahead and come back to our preloaded questions on Instagram. And if you're just here, if you just arrived on the live stream, please make sure to go ahead and follow me on Instagram at Daniel About Tech, right? International content there every single day. So, this question is very interesting from Diego.dsp on Instagram. So, he's saying that the iPhone 12, 13, 14, 15 are practically the same and the 16 will be different. And I agree with the first part, but I don't agree with the second part of the question. So, the iPhone 12, 13, 14, and 15, they are practically the same. That's true. But the iPhone 16 will be very similar as well. We have to understand that when you're talking about Apple, and actually when we're talking about the whole industry, so Samsung and other companies as well, but especially Apple, because they're way more conservative, they just made this decision starting pretty much on the iPhone 10 to actually not change their iPhones anymore, like too much, too drastically. From that point on, it's going to be small evolutions. So the iPhone 10 was actually the last big leap when we're talking about the iPhone. Completely new design, edge-to-edge display. We had the notch, so the iPhone was completely redesigned. The camera design, the iPhone just introduced and debuted this new way of thinking an iPhone. So there was a very clear line that they drew there from the iPhone 1 to the iPhone 7 and 7 Plus, and then of course the 8 and the 10 generation. And then when we saw that, we realized that this is how Apple is going to do its thing. So then we have the iPhone 10R, 10s, 11, 12, 13, 14, and now 15. And if you think about it, it's kind of all the same thing. What we're seeing now is small little changes. So the external design, it went from squared off to rounded to squared off once again. And then the back camera, it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And they introduced a third camera because they already had a dual camera design before. They introduced USB Type-C now, but because they were forced to. And small changes, the dynamic island, which is an evolution of the notch, the display, and so on. But when we're thinking about, it's kind of the same thing. So the iPhone 10 was released in 2017, and we're already in 2024. So 7 years is quite a lot. And if you take a look at those iPhones and those designs, it's pretty much the same. And my take on this is that Apple will continue doing the same. And the iPhone 16 will be just like the iPhone 15. It'll be very similar design with one or two teeny tiny new features, and simply because maybe there's not much room to improve anymore on this form factor, on this slab form factor with a very thin body and then a very large screen in front. You just can't change too much. Or you're going to foldables or other kind of technologies. But again, that's not Apple. So then, it's kind of a bummer for enthusiasts and for people who always expect Apple to super innovate. But I wouldn't rely too much on this. All right, I think we're gonna get a very similar iPhone 16 compared to the iPhone 15. All right. We've got questions here in the live chat. So, is charging iPhone to 100% bad? And the answer is yes. And not only your iPhone, but any lithium-ion battery. So, your iPhone, your iPad, your camera that I'm using right here to record this video, which is a Sony camera, is not made by Apple. Your electric car, for example, your wireless vacuum cleaner, no matter what, if you have a device today, any kind of device, any kind of portable that has a rechargeable battery, it uses lithium-ion batteries. All right, we have some very specific use cases of products that don't use lithium-ion battery, but pretty much all rechargeable batteries today are lithium-ion batteries, which are not new. All right, the technology comes from decades ago. So in those batteries, they have some chemical and physical properties. And the way they charge, it makes it kind of funny because of this, because they charge in two different stages, in two different ways. So then charging it past 80% is actually bad. It actually degrades your battery faster. It's not going to damage your battery. It's not going to make your battery explode or anything like that. It's not going to overheat. It's not going to create a problem. It's just going to degrade it faster. So when you see your maximum capacity, right, you go to general, you go to your iPhone settings, you go to battery, and then you see there your battery health, and you see your maximum capacity there. The more you charge your iPhone past 80%, the faster that maximum capacity will go down. So you're just degrading your battery by doing this, and it's kind of annoying, right? Having to worry about this and like plug it in, and when it's at 80%, remove it from the plug, and then keep doing that. I know it's kind of annoying, but that's why Apple in the iPhone 15 series created the 80% limit. And it's a bummer because this feature should be on the iPhone for ages, and now that they released it, it should be available for older iPhones as well, but Apple only made it available for the iPhone 15 series. So then when you enable the 80% limit, your iPhone automatically controls that, and then when it reaches 80%, it just stops charging, just like that, and you don't have to worry about it. So it was a very long answer, but yes, charging to 100% is bad, and not just 100%, charging to 90% is bad, charging to 85% is bad. What you should do is charge it between 0 and 80%, the way you want it, the way you wish to do it, how many times you want to do it, how often you want to do it. It's up to you, as long as you keep it between 0 and 80%, okay? Yeah, we've got other comments saying quit charging to 100%, try to unplug at 80 or 90%, and that's the whole point. Of course, you don't have to be like super psycho about this, and if it's at 81%, you need to remove it because otherwise it's going to ruin your battery. It's not like that. You don't need to be so dramatic, all right? So it's the whole idea of having this in mind and remove it at 80%. But of course, if, for example, someday you need to go out, you know you won't have a charger around and you need your full battery, you go ahead, you charge it to 100%, use your iPhone as you would, and the next day, on the next cycle, you again come back and keep charging at 80%, okay? So we have another comment here. Is charging 20 to 80% bad? A lot of people ask me this. Like, probably most people ask about 20% than 80%, this 20% thing. And this actually came from a big myth, and I always try to debunk this right now once again, that that once it reaches 20%, you need to plug it in. And that, guys, is simply because older iPhone models, right, used to give you that big pop-up on the screen saying like battery is at 20%, so low power mode or just cancel, and again at 10%. And Apple actually removed that in the iPhone 14 series. It doesn't give you that pop-up anymore. It just gives you a small indication on the top, especially because people were thinking that when it reached 20%, you actually have to plug it in immediately. It's like the iPhone is saying, charge the iPhone, but it has nothing to do with that. It was just a warning. Apple was just telling you, your iPhone battery is at 20%. Hey, it's a heads up. So pay attention to this. It will turn off in a few hours or in a few minutes, depending on what you're doing. It's just a heads up. So it's not bad to charge at 20%, so to keep it between 20 and 80, but you're just losing 20% of your battery life. not losing. I mean, you're not doing anything bad, but you're just using 60% of your iPhone battery, where you should be when you should sorry about that when you should be using 0 to 80%, when you should be using the full 80%, right? So again, nothing, it's not bad, it's just gonna be a lot of work to you. Okay. um, I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max and it's still kicking, and I'm not upgrading until Apple implements AI in the iOS itself. Same way I carry Siri. Yeah, and I super agree with you, and I would actually recommend you to do exactly that. If your iPhone 12 Pro Max is great, there's no point upgrading. Like, you're just gonna get a new iPhone because it's a new iPhone. Unless, of course, for some reason you need the better processor on newer iPhones, or you need the better camera on the newer iPhones, or the better battery on the newer iPhones, because they have improved substantially from the iPhone 12, especially the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the 15 Pro Max, because the 14 Pro Max battery sucks. It's just really bad. But unless you don't need those upgrades, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is a great iPhone. I've had it. There are videos here on the channel about it, and I completely agree with you. And yeah, we have to wait to see what is this AI thing about iOS. Is it making Siri smarter? Many people say it's making Siri super smart. Many people are saying that they're going to work together with Google, and what's actually cloud based will be powered by Gemini, and what's actually in-app processed, right, offline, will be Apple AI. So then Siri would actually be powered by Gemini, if that makes sense. But latest reports actually say that. So we have to wait and see. We have to see what iOS 18 brings to the table, which features will actually be available to all iPhones and others just to the iPhone 16 series. Okay. Uh, let's see. What else? The iPhone 10R worth it in 2024? That's a tricky question. Like, I really wouldn't recommend the iPhone 10R now, mainly because it's getting a little bit older now, you know? And as I said, even though it's not something you should really worry about the fact that it may not get compatibility to iOS 18, maybe you care about this. I wouldn't, but maybe you do. So keep that in mind. There's a risk that you buy an iPhone 10R and it won't get software updates. So if that's important to you, then I wouldn't recommend the iPhone 10R. But more than that, I just think it's a slightly older iPhone now. So the iPhone 11 introduced quite a lot of new features that were very interesting, especially in photography, like night photography. The iPhone 11 Apple implemented the concept of night photos, and then it was a big change over the iPhone 10R. You will get a better battery on the iPhone 11. It's just a better device. So if your budget is around the iPhone 10R, I would recommend saving a little bit more cash and upgrading to the iPhone 11. All right. I wouldn't recommend the 10R right now. I actually have a video on this, right? So if you want to take a look, like my iPhone buyer's guide. It's pretty updated a couple of months ago actually that I uploaded it, so you can have a look and see what you think. All right. Doing 0 to 80% good would affect my battery health. Yeah, I just talked about that. Was like the previous question, so just not gonna answer it once again. But yes, like you should charge it between 0 and 80%. Okay, and then I'm gonna answer one more from my preloaded questions on Instagram, right? And you'll have some time to ask a few more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. All right. So let me go ahead and take a look here at my Instagram questions. Let's have a look. I saw one before that was so good. One question. Let's see. Yeah, this one is quite nice. So it actually has to do with what we were talking before about when you get that pop up saying 20% battery left, and we were talking about that, right? And a lot of people ask about low power mode because before Apple used to give you the heads up, right? Your iPhone battery is 20%, you want to use low power mode, and you would just tap on it. Now they don't do it anymore because batteries are just way much better today, and then you don't need to enable low power mode so frequently because 20% is still quite a lot, right? But even though we have this fact, a lot of people really do like to use low power mode because your iPhone actually changes a lot when you do that. And your battery just pretty much doubles its capacity. It's insane. Like when you use low power mode, I don't know if you used it, but your iPhone battery would just last so much more, like hours more, depending on your percentage, right? And many people think that because of this, and because the iPhone actually changes the way it behaves, and the iPhone behaves pretty weirdly in low power mode, a lot of people think that it actually harms the iPhone. It's bad for the iPhone. And many people are afraid of using low power mode. And the thing is, there's no problem at all about using low power mode. It's not bad for your iPhone. You can use it every day, all day, like all the time if you want to. But as I said, it actually changes the way your iPhone behaves. It makes your iPhone slower because it throttles the performance. It disables, let me remember, background app refresh. It disables fetch on email. It disables animations and some gestures on your iPhone and 3D and pretty much animations on your iPhone. So then your iPhone feels like it's older and slow and from 10 years ago. And that's how they actually manage to save a lot of battery because your iPhone really does change. So if you don't care about that, you can use low power mode all day, every day. But if you do care and if you think your iPhone behaves a little bit weird in low power mode, which it does, my recommendation is use it only when you need to. So there's no point getting an iPhone, especially a new iPhone that's super fast, snappy, full of features and all, and use low power mode all the time, and then your iPhone is going to look like an old iPhone. So there's no point. So use it only when you need to. All right. But as I said, no problem at all. You can use it as much as you want to, every day, all day if you want to. No problem at all. Okay? And so let's go ahead here and take a look at the chat. And let's see if we've got some new questions. So we've got a question here. Is iPhone 15 Pro Max battery good and not getting hot? Yeah, so this is a common thing as well. So first, iPhone 15 Pro Max battery good. Yes, it's really good. It's pretty much as good as the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And many people think this is weird. Like, how is a like 2 generations newer iPhone, like it has a kind of the same battery as an iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is 2 years older? And I don't know. It's just facts. The iPhone 13 Pro Max has an absurd battery. We've ran some tests. I've had all of those devices. I had them on daily basis, and the iPhone 13 Pro Max was the best iPhone battery ever on any iPhone ever. Period. And the 15 Pro Max has a very close battery to that when we're talking about battery life and how long it lasts and how long it takes and all that. So yes, the iPhone 15 Pro Max is really good, but it's still not the best. And if it's getting hot, I mean, iPhones are overheating. This is the thing. They're overheating more often than before. And it actually has to do with iOS. iOS 17, iOS 16, especially iOS 17, created a lot of problems with overheating. And a lot of people are actually saying that this is the iPhone 15, and there was this whole myth about the iPhone 15, and I made videos about this. And no, the iPhone 15 is not overheating more than other iPhones. All iPhones are overheating, you know, especially if you live in a hot area. If you live down here in Brazil, for example, it overheats, right, depending on where you live. We had some very specific isolated cases of iPhone 15s overheating, but that has happened in the past as well with older iPhone models. So it's not a problem of the iPhone 15, okay? But yes, they do overheat sometimes. So, how good are the stereo speakers in the iPhone Mini? And have you tried graphic intensive games? So, I just got it yesterday, you know, and I haven't really ran some very heavy tests on it. But as you can imagine, the speakers are like better than on your iPhone, but worse than on an iPad Pro, for example. But they are actually surprising. Like holding this device in your hand and listening to loud music or video and something like that, it's pretty loud. It's louder than you think. It's crispy, and the spatial, like the stereo spatial audio, it never really works really well if you're using a speaker on a handheld device like this. Only if you're doing it on a proper setup or if you're using headphones. Otherwise, it doesn't get that stereo, right, left and right, especially on a smaller device like that. And even on an iPad Pro, you won't get that stereo experience as Apple sells it. A little bit, depending if you are in a really quiet room and all that, but not too much, all right? So, and graphics, and heavy graphics. No, I haven't tested yet. I just got it yesterday, as I said, and then I haven't ran this specific test on games and things like that. I will, and it will be on my full review. I'll have a review on the iPad. I'll show you this unboxing that you saw firsthand, and then of course later on I'll give you my full review after using for a few weeks. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We're like 45 minutes in this unboxing now, this live stream, and that's the first time we do it. Hope you liked it. Hope you liked the quality. The first time we do on this new format, and we're gonna keep improving and keep bringing more and more videos, media. We'll make it more interactive. We'll play your questions here on the screen. It'll get better, right? That's the first time, but we're already very, very pleased with the result. Please let me know if you liked it as well. And of course, this live stream will be posted on the channel. All right? So, thanks a lot, and I'll see you on the next one. See you later, guys.